Okay, in today's video, we'll be looking at Gauss-Jordan's elimination method. Now, unlike Gaussian elimination method that we looked at in our last class, you saw that we use Gaussian elimination method to find the values of my x, y, and z. So basically, it means we use Gaussian elimination method to find the variables of a particular equation, that's a simultaneous equation, or matrix in that case then. But for the case of Gaussian, we used to find the inverse mostly of matrices, like so, or possibly simultaneous equation where you pull out the matrix of the form A. So go straight. What do we have? Gauss-Jordan elimination method is of the form what? A I, where my A here represents what? The matrix, and my I represents what? The identity. Now, depending on the matrix given to me, that determines the identity I'm going to be using. In this case, I have a square matrix 2 by 2. If it was for 3 by 3, we'll know how the representation would be like. So, but for this case, what do we have? 1, 2, minus 3, 5. The identity of 2 by 2 square matrix is what? 1, 0, 0, 1. For 3 by 3 becomes 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, and what? 0, 0, 1. Now, what's the idea here? The idea is what? I must convert all this to all this. And this one will be the solution of what? What this one is converted to as this. That is, this must be 1, this must be 1, this must be 0, 0. Then the solution, after converting this to this, will give me my inverse matrix. So let's go straight into it. The same idea goes for 3 by 3 also. Okay, how do I then solve it? Whatever condition I apply here, be it row echelon, column echelon, I must apply here, unlike considering everything as 1 when it came to Gaussian elimination matrix. So to change this one to 0, since this is already 1, is to say what? Row 2 becomes what? 3 row 1 plus what? Row 2. Okay, that is 3 times 1 gives me 3. If I add it to minus 3, it gives me 0. So then that becomes what? This remains the same. This remains the same. This becomes what? 0 now, because 3 times 1 is 3 minus this is what? Is 0. 3 times 2 is what? 6 plus 5 is what? 11. You heard me say minus here because this is minus times plus, that's minus. Okay, so in this case, 3 times 1 is what? 3 plus 0 is what? 3. 3 times 0 is 0 plus 1 is what? 1. Okay, moving on, let's change this one to 1, then finally change this one to what? 0. Change this one to 1 is by saying divide row 2 by what? 11. So it means row 2 becomes what? 1 over 11 what? Row 2. And that becomes, this remains the same. This remains the same. This now becomes what? 0 over 11 is what? 0. 11 over 11 is what? 1. 3 over 11 is what? 3 over 11. 1 over 11 is what? 1 over what? 11. Then finally now, row 1, I want to convert this one to what? To 0. It's by saying what? 2 or row 1 minus 2 row 2. Basically, so let's just use that. Row 1 minus what? 2 row 2. So using that, I have 1 minus 2 times 0. That's what? 1. 2 minus 2 times 1. That's 0. This remains 0, 1. Then what do I now have here? This is 1 minus 2 times this. So that's 1 minus 6 over 11. 1 minus 6 over 11 becomes what? 5 over 11. This becomes what? 0 minus 2 times this. That's 0 minus what? 2 over 11. 0 minus 2 over 11 becomes what? Minus 2 over 11. Then for this one remains the same thing. 1 over what? 11. Now, finally, since this is now 1001, it now means that my calculation becomes the inverse of matrix what? A. That is, A inverse is equals to what? 5 over 11 minus 2 over 11, 3 over 11, 1 over what? 11. Or it can also be written as what? 1 over 11 into what? 5 minus 2, 3, 1. Now to check, let's just confirm if our answer is actually right. The normal way of finding our inverse of a matrix for 2 by 2 square matrix is by saying what? You find the determinant of this. So the determinant of A in this case becomes what? 5 minus what? Minus 6, which is 5 plus 6, which is what? 11. So that now becomes what? 1 over 11. That now becomes 1 over 11 into, you switch that, that's 5, 1. You change the sense of this one, that's 3 minus 2. So let's confirm if our answer is actually very correct. So I have 1 over 11 into this. 5 minus 2, 3, 1. 1 over 11 into what? 5 minus 2, 3, 1.